So you're sitting there with your essay in front of you and your teachers ask you to use literary criticism. What do you do? We're going to begin with the assumption that by this point you have done a number of things. You should have read the text critically, looking at plot, character, theme, and setting, and how they all work together to develop the theme or central message. And then assuming that you've also evaluated and taken notes on these things, that you've got some sticky notes at least, notes in the margins, um, information about character development and plot as well. Next, what you should have done was brainstorm about an aspect of your text that you're going to write about. Um, and you should again have some sort of a chart for that. And presumably you formulated a thesis, made an outline, found quotes from the primary source that you're going to use in your essay. So the stage you should be at right now is finding secondary sources or other criticism to support your thesis. And that's what this video intends to focus on. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to be looking at Death of a Salesman, the play by Arthur Miller, and we're going to be finding criticism to support the following thesis about whether or not Willy Loman is a tragic hero. So, the thesis states that Willy Loman is not a tragic hero because in this play there's no loss of divine order, there's no catharsis for the audience, and there's no moment of recognition for Willy Loman. We're going to focus on the third point in the thesis for the research portion of this video. So just before we continue, what you need to know is that this kind of research takes lots of time, lots of reading and skimming and scanning. It is not a quick process. I'm just going to show you how to get started. So I'm going to begin by going to the Gale Literature Resource Center, which you can access from the class website, and I'm going to type in the title of the play for which I'm looking for information. Okay, so it's popped up that there is a whole lot of lit crit on this play. There's 465 to be exact. There's a bunch of biographies as well that you might want to access, to get some prior information, but we're going to focus solely on literary criticism. Because my search on Death of a Salesman has revealed so many hits, I've got 465 literary criticisms here, I'm going to narrow it down by using the advanced search function of this website. So I'm going to search for Death of a Salesman, and then I'm also going to put in the keyword tragedy in the next line down. And I'm going to also put in tragic hero as a keyword in the third box, but you don't have to use 3 separate keywords. I'm just going to see what comes up if I use these terms, okay, in my search. So I'm going to change them all to keyword and see what happens, okay. So I've hit search and it came up with 1 criticism. Okay, well that's too narrow. So let's go back and modify our advanced search and see what happens. If I change it to name of work, what comes up? Again, it's just 1 literary criticism, not enough out of 465. So let's find different terms we can use or different parameters to use in our search. I think what I'm going to try to do is pick entire document for these things. So we'll find any literary criticism that has these terms in it, searching an entire document and see what happens. Okay, so this has been narrowed down now to 37 lit crits on Death of a Salesman, which is a little more workable. And I'm just going to pick one of them and move on to step 2, which is to read the abstract of the literary criticism you've chosen. Before I get to reading the abstract, though, I'm going to save this. There's a save function on the website, and it allows you to go back and look at the article. Your highlights and everything will be saved. So before you do anything, do that, or you might just lose it in the end, okay? So I'm going to start by reading the abstract of this article, which is that short blurb at the beginning. It just tells you what the article is about. So this one is about whether or not Willy Loman is a tragic hero, and is the play indeed a tragedy? So that might fit perfectly for our essay, and maybe we'll find something valuable there. So this is when I begin to skim and scan the critical essay to find quotes or ideas that would support my opinion that I am putting forth in my essay. Okay, so you can start highlighting. This has got a really good highlighting function. All you have to do is take the cursor and highlight the sentence or whatever that you need, and you can pick from a variety of colors using the highlighting tool. So I've almost reached the end of my article here, and I've decided that I've found a quote that really supports what I'm arguing. So I've highlighted it in a different color. I've used green here, and it's a little bit of a longer quote, but that's okay. The only thing that I notice when using this website is that when I go to insert the quote into my essay, you have to unhighlight it so that it doesn't go into your essay with that color because you can't change it. So now that I've actually read this article, highlighted it, and find my quotes, I have to make sure that I take the source citation and insert it into my works cited, okay? So the way to do that on this Gale Literature Resource Center site is to go to the tools and click on citation tools. It'll give you a variety of options. And you just highlight and put it into your works cited, okay? Don't forget that's really important. So the next step in this process is to actually use the literary criticism that I found and insert the quote into my essay. So here's my point. One of the most important arguments against considering Death of a Salesman as a tragedy is the fact that there's no anagnorisis for Willy Loman. In the classical definition of a tragic hero, there must be a moment of recognition, whereby the protagonist sees his flaws and recognizes the tragedy that was caused by his pride. In this play, however, the protagonist is blinded to his own flaws as well as strengths, and to those of his sons as well, even until the very end. So now I'm going to go back into the literary criticism, highlight the quote that I want to insert, and copy and paste it. So just like with any quotation that you're inserting, you need to preface it or contextualize it with your own words before you enter it, okay? So in this case, it's highlighted for you in yellow, and I've written, in his essay, Family Values and Death of a Salesman, Stephen R. Santola argues that Biff's rejection of his father causes Willie to withdraw, and the green part is the quote that I've taken from the book, and don't forget at the end, you need your citation in brackets of the page number where you got it from. And of course, just like with any other quote, you need to analyze it and connect it to your thesis so that the reader, me, understands what the relevance is of this quote, okay? So I've written a couple of sentences there, and that basically is a good paragraph with good use of a literary criticism that you can hopefully take away and apply to your own essay, okay? Good luck.